All right, welcome back to ABA exam review and our fifth BCBA practice exam. Today we're going through the next set of questions together and breaking them down. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please like and subscribe to get all of our updates. Be sure to check out behavioranalyststudy.com for all of our study materials. As always, when you pass, let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. Let's get going. 71. A classroom teacher is told to take 20 minutes of data on Brian's behavior once per day. The teacher should set a timer for 1 minute, 20 times, and record a response if the behavior happens the full minute. What type of data collection is this? Now, as always, we always do our work up front. We don't jump to the answer choices. We make sure we understand the question fully, because this question is one where you should be able to predict the answer. And as you get better at the exam, you can start to predict more and more answers before you even look at the answer choices. That's going to increase fluency and speed. What do we know? We know we're looking at some sort of data collection, some measurement. So continuous, discontinuous, permanent product. We know the teacher is going to take 20 minutes of data once per day. Now, what does that indicate to you? What indicates it's not continuous because it's a small portion or small sample of Brian's overall day. And so if we're just taking a small sample or portion of the time allotted, we're using a discontinuous procedure, right? Because continuous, we're recording throughout the entirety of Brian's day. So we're taking discontinuous measurement. Now, what type? Well, we have a timer for 1 minute. That's going to be our interval length. We've got 20 times or 20 intervals. And then the response has to occur the full minute. So this is telling us exactly what type of interval recording we're using. Because A, partial interval, that type of recording, the response has to occur at any point, right? It can happen for a split second. It counts as a response. Our interval procedure, the response has to occur the full minute or the whole interval, right? So we're looking at B, whole interval. Momentary time sampling, the behavior would have to occur at the end of the interval, so at 1 minute. And play check, planned activity check, is the group version of momentary time sampling. Works the same way, but functions in a group setting. So we know we're using discontinuous. We know we have an interval procedure. And then we ask ourselves, well, how long does the response need to occur? Well, it has to happen the full interval. So what type of data collection is this? Well, B, whole interval. 72, Lane has a bag of trash in his hands to throw away. He sees the trash can that is overflowing, but decides to throw his trash there anyway. However, he sees another person walking on the other side of the street and decides to find a different can. Person on the side of the street is most likely a what? Now, interesting question here. It's a little more of a technical reinforcement SD punishment question because we really have to look at Lane's behavior and decide why has it changed. We know Lane is going to go throw this bag of trash, and so he sees a trash can that is overflowing, but it's going to throw his trash there anyway. So that trash can is an SD, right? It's an SD for throwing his trash away. However, he sees another person walking on the other side of the street and decides to find a different can. Now, why did he do that? What changed in the scenario? Well, he saw the other person walking on the side of the street, which made him change his behavior of throwing the trash away. So he avoided throwing the trash away in the trash can once he saw that person walking away. So why would he do that? The person on the side of the street is most likely what? A, an SD for reinforcement. Well, if there was an SD for reinforcement, he probably would have just gone thrown his trash away, right? Instead, what does he do? Well, he avoids or escapes this person, okay? This person is most likely signaling punishment is available for throwing trash in this overflowing trash can. He's not an S delta for punishment because the person on the side of the street is most likely an SD for punishment. In the past, his behavior of throwing trash in an overflowing trash can in the presence of a person has been punished. So he sees this person, signals punishment is available. His behavior of going throw it away changes. He escapes. It decreases. Okay. He is not a punisher either. So be careful about that. We're not sure what about this person or what about the scenario in the past punished the behavior of throwing trash away, but we do know it's an SD for punishment. There's a difference between a punisher and punishment, right? There's a difference between a reinforcer and reinforcement. Punisher is the stimuli, right? Punishment's the act. Reinforcer is the stimuli. Reinforcement is the act. So once Lane sees this person, he signals punishment is available for throwing away trash. He avoids the punishment by going find a different can. The person on the side of the street most likely functions as an SD for punishment. Look at the image below. The black data path in treatment 2B represents what? So we're looking at this blurry image, but we're looking at treatment 2B, right? And we have a reversal design, an AB design, okay? So we're looking at some sort of baseline logic here. So let's go point by point, right? So if we look from baseline 1A to treatment 1B, the white dots represent what? Well, that's our prediction, okay? That's our prediction of what the baseline might do if we don't begin intervention, okay? If we look at baseline 2A, right, we have our prediction of what the intervention would continue to do if we didn't withdraw it. And then we have our verification of our baseline. So treatment 1B, we have our prediction of baseline. Baseline 2, we verify our baseline. And then we look at the white dots, right? Or the black data path in treatment 2B, okay? And what are we doing with treatment 2B? Well, we are replicating our intervention, okay? So walk through this a few times until you can just do that quickly, okay? We have baseline 1A, it's our baseline. White dots are our prediction of baseline, and then our black dots are our treatment. Baseline 2, white dots are our prediction for intervention, and the black dots are our verification of baseline. And then treatment 2B, right, is our replication, the black dots of our intervention, and the white dots, again, are our prediction of the baseline. Do that a few times until you really understand that baseline logic. Baseline logic is about prediction, verification, and replication. Ross, a behavior technician, and Rachel, a behavior analyst, dated for a year before going on break for 5 months. Ross now needs a supervisor and asks Rachel to do it. How should Rachel respond? So we have an ethical question here. We have Ross, who's a behavior technician, Rachel, a behavior analyst. Okay, so a position of power, supervisory role, potentially. They dated for a year, and now they've been on break for 5 months. So they haven't dated for 5 months. Ross needs a supervisor and wants Rachel to do it. Can Rachel, the behavior analyst, supervise Ross right now? A, accept Ross as a supervisee if she has time. Is that okay? Well, no, because what does the code say about dating and supervision and BTs? It says if you've dated a technician or a supervisee or a potential supervisee, 6 months must pass before you can supervise them. It's only been 5 months since they dated. Not enough time has passed. B, Rachel cannot supervise someone she dated in the past. She can, just not this recently. C, Rachel cannot supervise Ross until 6 months have passed. Yes, 6 months have to pass before Rachel can go ahead and supervise Ross. And then D, it is inappropriate for Ross to ask Rachel to supervise him. Well, no, if just because they dated, now they're on break or they're broken up, right? And maybe it's amicable and they're still friendly and Ross needs a supervisor. Maybe it's the only clinic in the town, whatever it might be. It's totally okay for Ross to reach out, but Rachel has to say, well, we need to wait 1 more month because the ethical code stipulates we wait 6 months. So how should Rachel respond? Well, Rachel cannot supervise Ross until 6 months have passed. 75, the owner of a behavior analysis clinic is sent a link to a Facebook group where people post experiences with clinics in the area. There are a couple of good reviews regarding the owner's clinic, including one from a current client. Has the owner done anything wrong? Now, testimonials can be tricky. The hard and fast rule is we don't use testimonials from current clients. If you solicit testimonials from past clients, you need a disclaimer. If past clients become current clients again, you've got to remove that review or that testimonial, right? But in this case, we have a behavior analyst owner clinic, right? Sent to a Facebook group where people post experiences with clinics in the area. Now, there are a couple of good reviews regarding the owner's clinic, including a current client. So has the owner done anything wrong? Well, you have to ask yourself, is the owner in control of this particular review? No, it's just a Facebook group that they don't have control over. They were sent. They didn't ask for this review. They were given the review. So have they done anything wrong? Well, not necessarily. And let's expand on that, right? So let's look at A. Yes, you can also solicit reviews from current clients. While that is true, nothing says they solicited this review. B, yes, the owner is responsible for anything posted about her clinic. No, right? Because there are many sites out there, there are many avenues where people can share their opinions, and you can't control them all. It's just the way of the world, right? It's how our world functions now. And the new ethical code has really beefed up its ideas around modern day social media and the like. Okay. So it's not her fault what they post on a Facebook group she doesn't control. C, no, the owner is not responsible for content that she does not control. Okay, that's what we've been talking about. Now, let's see if we can get better though. D, no, the owner is not responsible for content that she does not control, but she should not use or share the review. Yes, this is the best, most complete answer. Yes, this is a current client. Yes, it is a testimonial or a review. No, she doesn't have control over it. But no, she should not use or share that review. Just because she can't control it, she can't now take this review and start sharing it with other people. So, has the owner done anything wrong? No, the owner is not responsible for content that she does not control, but she should not share, should not use or share the review. What is the difference between habituation and habilitation? This is kind of a teaching question, which is fine, okay, because we need to know these two things. Now, habituation is associated typically with respondent behavior, where we present a stimulus enough and the reflex decreases. Okay. Habilitation is a much more common word even outside of ABA, right? It's typically thought of as when people with special needs are taught skills or their world is open to more reinforcement, punishment from the world is decreased. Okay, you're habilitating people to the world essentially, and that's really the difference. All right, so A, there's no difference. There's a difference. B, habituation is related to respondent behavior. Yes, it's the repeated presentation of a stimulus will reduce the reflex to that stimulus, while habilitation is related to a change in a person's repertoire. Yeah, in ABA, we consider habilitation changing someone's repertoire that maximizes contact with reinforcement and minimizes contact with punishment. C, habilitation is related to respondent behavior, while habituation is related to a change in a person's repertoire. We know that's the opposite. And then D, habituation is operant related and habilitation is respondent related. That's just, again, the opposite. So the main difference, habituation is related to respondent behavior, while habilitation is related to a change in a person's repertoire. When you're habilitating somebody, you're trying to alter their repertoire, again, so they contact more reinforcement and contact less punishment. 77, you want to teach someone how to make a wooden bench using a specific list of steps. If you needed to create that list of steps, which of the following options would be least ideal to choose in order to create the list? Clearly a task analysis question, right? We're creating a list of steps. We're creating a list of steps. How are we going to create that list of steps? And in Cooper, there's 3 very specific ways they recommend going about task analyses. Okay, so we're looking for the least ideal to create this list of making a wooden bench. A, you observe a master woodworker create a bench. Well, consulting with an expert or watching someone competent and an expert is a perfectly good way of creating a list. B, you create the bench yourself. Doing the task yourself and then adjusting, again, is acceptable. All right. This one might be a little harder, but it is an acceptable way of creating a task analysis according to our literature. C, you watch a group of high schoolers create a bench on a shop class. What is the benefit of watching a group of high schoolers in a shop class, right? They're most likely not competent. They're not experts. Okay. The mistake people make is thinking, well, I'm teaching a 15-year-old to do something. I need to watch other 15-year-olds do it. Well, what's the problem with that? Well, most 15-year-olds aren't experts. Okay. And it gets worse when you have a 6-year-old. Most 6-year-olds aren't experts. Okay. You're trying to consult with experts. You want to observe experts, people competent, or you can just do it yourself. The least ideal way is to take someone of equal skill or age or development as the person you're teaching and watch them do it. 78, a group of researchers just discovered a cure for hangovers in mice. The cure is 99% effective. The researchers want to market the cure to humans. What do they need to be sure of first? All right, we see a lot of science and research in mice. What's the problem with that? A lot of that research never generalizes, right? It never gets to humans. So when we talk about generalizing from one setting to another, one population to another, what are we referring to? A, internal validity. Internal validity says the researchers are controlling this cure, okay? And we're worried about marketing the cure to humans, not necessarily repeating it or replicating it with mice. We want to generalize it to humans. And in order to do that, what do we need to be sure of first? Well, you're not going to be sure of confounding variables, okay? You try to control for confounds, but you're not going to be sure of confounds. You need to be sure of external validity. Before you can market this cure to humans and say, well, we have an effective hangover cure, does it generalize? Does it have external validity? And then the experimental design, well, they've already done their experiment. They've already had their design. They have to be sure, right, that this cure has external validity. Can it generalize outside of mice? 79, Kelly's children always take their shoes off at the door, but leave the shoes in a spot where other people could trip on them. Kelly puts a box by the door, so there's another place to put the shoes. If Kelly wants the box to be SD, what should she do? Question is essentially asking you, how do you create an SD? How are SDs formed? How do you transfer stimulus control? Well, an SD gains discriminative stimulus properties, right? Gains SD properties because in the past, the response has either been punished or reinforced in the future, right? And or in the past, I'm sorry. So in our previous question about the trash can, in the past, when that guy's thrown away stuff in an overflowing trash can, that behavior has been punished by a person, right? Or a person's voice or whatever the punisher is. That's why that person now functions as an SD for punishment. When a response is reinforced in the presence of a stimulus or punished in the presence of a stimulus, that's how a stimulus gets SD properties. So if Kelly wants the box to be an SD based on what we just talked about, how is she going to do that? A, take away television if someone does not put their shoes in the box. Well, this is an attempt at a negative punishment procedure. It's not going to change the box's properties. If anything, the box might become an SD for punishment. Because if I'm in the presence of the box and you're taking away my television, then I might learn that when I'm in the presence of the box, now there's punishment available. B, reinforce the children for putting their shoes anywhere, but in a spot where people can trip over them. Well, we don't want to go anywhere because we want it to be the box. If we just put them anywhere, okay, this is kind of like a DRO, right? We want to teach the box is an SD. So we want to provide reinforcement when shoes are put into the box continuously. And then label the box shoes. Well, labeling the box shoes is not going to make it a reinforcer. Maybe that's a prompt, right? We need to reinforce the behavior of putting the shoes in the box, making that box a signal for reinforcement. Remember, an SD is nothing but a signal. It either can signal punishment is available or reinforcement is available, one or the other. While riding in the car, a mom will feed her daughter in the car seat. The daughter will start to scream, but the mom will say more and wait for the daughter to make a sound resembling more before giving food. The mom is engaging in what? Now be careful, okay? We know the mom is feeding her daughter in the car seat. This is some sort of incidental training, right? The daughter will scream, the mom will say more, and wait for the daughter to make a sound resembling more. So what kind of verbal operant is the daughter engaging in? Well, the daughter is engaging in an echoic. And why? Because it's evoked by a verbal SD. It's got point-to-point correspondence and formal similarity. It isn't tact training because tact training is evoked by nonverbal SD. It's not an intraverbal, right? Why not? Because intraverbals do not have point-to-point correspondence. Here, the mom wants her to say more. She wants her to echo. It's not response generalization. We're looking for a single response. What the mom is doing is functional communication training. She's teaching her a more functional way to communicate her needs of getting her food met. If nothing else, right, it's an echoic, but it's really trying to get to man training, right? It is an interverbal training. Don't make that mistake. It's why it's important we need to understand point-to-point correspondence and formal similarity. All right, great. Check out behavioranalyststudy.com for our combo pack. Let us know when you pass. As always, work hard, study hard. See you soon.